So I stumbled upon this article entitled "All Star Wars KoTOR Remake Changes If the Game is Canon Now." This is brought to us once again by Screenrant. I just want to say that so far these fill-in-the-blank rant websites have been doing great for my bottom line. Here's hoping they never stop. This piece in particular was written by one Sarah Jane Simpson. It's unclear if the KoTOR remake will be canon, but if it is, changes will have to be made to make it compatible with current Star Wars continuity. No kidding. All we know for now is that Darth Revan is part of the new canon that we all seem to enjoy calling the Disney canon. But there haven't been any stories released yet in which the character made an appearance or even a mention as far as I know. Do they want to use the KoTOR remake to finagle Revan into the Disney canon? In my personal opinion, I hope not. I hope that Aspyr Media has been given leeway to remake the game and keep it as true to the original as possible. In order to do that, they would need to keep it within Legends continuity. The introduction of the Star Wars The High Republic multimedia project means that the canon surrounding KoTOR has become a little more complicated. I suppose it would, but I don't know exactly how, seeing as I haven't consumed any High Ground Republic material as of yet, but I'll take their word for it. Anyway, let's get into point number 1. Changes for KoTOR remake include red lightsaber crystals.
I see your Schwartz is as big as mine. Now let's see how well you handle it.
As the story unfolds in KoTOR, the player can choose which path to follow and therefore use either the light or the dark side of the Force. As is tradition, this influences the color of lightsaber the player would then wield, and players would change their Star Wars lightsaber color by using different kyber crystals to upgrade their weapon. Alright, well, if your character is leaning towards the light or the dark side, you may choose to use various lightsaber colors if you find the appropriate crystal. Also, the crystals that governed color never upgraded or downgraded your weapons. They were purely cosmetic, except for maybe the two special ones, the Heart of the Guardian and the Mantle of the Force, but even then, they enhanced the properties brought to your lightsaber from actual power crystals. By themselves, they didn't do anything except change the color of the saber. However, the 2016 novel Ahsoka by E.K. Johnston established that red kyber crystals don't actually exist naturally and could not be synthesized. They were made by a process called bleeding, where a dark force user corrupts the crystal, thus turning it red. Now, red lightsaber crystals have never been naturally occurring. In Legends, they were synthetic, although in KoTOR 1 you do find a whole gaggle of them in Kinrath eggs for some reason. Oh well, synthetic crystals didn't have to be red. You just have to put in the extra effort to change the color, as we saw with Luke Skywalker and his green synthetic crystal. With this change in canon though, I'm not sure what it means for Luke's lightsaber. Can only non-red crystals be synthesized for whatever reason? Maybe you can't synthesize them at all, and Disney just hopes that most people either don't know or forget about that little detail about Luke. For red kyber crystals to remain in-game and part of canon, they would need to be bled. The act involves pouring hate, fear, pain, and rage into the crystal until it changes color. I wonder if there's an opposite version of this. Can you pour love, willpower, pleasure, and harmony into a crystal? Can you talk to it? Is it like having a pet rock? I hope so. This change could be easy to ignore, as red lightsabers feature in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. But using bleeding as a way to get a red crystal could work in favor of the KoTOR remake by adding in a new mission or activity for dark side Star Wars players to engage in. Also, it is possible for crystals to resist the bleeding, which could make for some interesting consequences or side missions for players determined to make a crimson lightsaber. It would certainly add some replayability to the game, which is a great thing in my book. You can have NPCs react differently to you when they see you pull out your hot red lightsaber. Lore-wise, however, I am unsure why you would want to bleed the crystal. I would assume that it does more than just look red. It must have some properties that are valuable to a dark side force user, in which case these can be presented in-game in the form of buffs. To me personally, I see this change in the lore to be rather unnecessary. But I suppose Disney wanted dark side users to be even more cardboard cutout bad guys and lightsiders, which might as well just be Jedi and nothing else, as seeming even more infallible good guys, but moving on. The Mandalorian Wars appear to have been rewritten since KoTOR's first release.
We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live! Fucking thing sucks!
If the KoTOR remake is to rejoin canon, then some changes will need to be made to the details of the Mandalorian Wars. The hero and player character of Revan plays a massive part in the Mandalorian Wars, so things could get a little confusing if the KoTOR remake doesn't address these changes. Some details are small, but others are much more significant and conflict with the information given in canon, such as Star Wars Rebels.
History lesson. The Jedi won the war with Mandalore.
Two Jedi named Revan and Alec could not bear to see the Republic lose and rallied several other Jedi to their cause. Calling themselves the Revankists, they joined the war and turned the tide in favor of the Republic. The Mandalorian Wars finally came to an end when Revan defeated Mandalore the Ultimate in single combat.
You dare? You dare?
In canon, very little detail has been mentioned regarding the Mandalorian Wars. In Star Wars Clone Wars, the Mandalorian Wars are mentioned briefly with little detail about when they took place or what the conflict was about. In the Mandalorian episode Chapter 8, Redemption, the Armorer gives a little more information when she tells Star Wars bounty hunter Din Djarin about songs of eons past. She tells him about Mandalore the Great fighting a war against an order of enemy sorcerers known as Jedi.
The songs of eons past tell of battles between Mandalore the Great and an order of sorcerers called Jedi.
If the KoTOR remake is to keep in line with canon, the changes needed would be the renaming of Mandalore the Ultimate to Mandalore the Great, even though Mandalore the Ultimate is so much cooler. It is possible that the details of the conflict have been lost over time and therefore the Armorer could be considered an unreliable narrator. However, if the songs are correct, then in the new Star Wars canon timeline, the Mandalorian Wars took place between the armies of Mandalore and the entire Jedi Order, rather than just Revan's followers. It could be possible to have the Revankists exist and keep Revan's role in the conflict intact, as well as their single combat victory over the Mandalorian's leader. I guess, although why would they call themselves Revankists? I mean, maybe this is another instance of a publication completely ignoring KoTOR 2? Or they wrote off the Mass Shadow Generator, Malachor, and the Exile because of Star Wars Rebels. In that show, it wasn't a war between the Republic and the Mandalorians, with Jedi defying the Council and joining the Republic military. It didn't have any Sith secretly pulling the strings in the background. It did have a super weapon, but not one that was built and used by the Republic and ex-Jedi, killing large quantities of both. No speculation that Revan needed that to happen in order to kill two birds with one stone, end the war and get rid of the people who supported him the least. There was none of that. It was a war between Jedi and Sith. The Jedi attacked, the Sith activated their weapon, killing everyone, the end. Supposedly, Yoda sent them there to teach them a lesson, that how you win a war is more important than actually winning the war. Basically saying that if he had to, Yoda would doom the galaxy as long as it means that he can go to his grave patting himself on the back. What a hero. As you no doubt have guessed, I have some issues with that Star Wars Rebels storyline. Oh well. Hyperspace Travel and the Outer Rim.
This is faster than man has ever traveled before.
Oh, wow.
The release of the High Republic has complicated fans' understanding of the Outer Rim territories. The largest element changed by the High Republic is the use of hyperspace beacons, which the multimedia project shows as still in use by the Republic. However, the use of these beacons was considered obsolete in KoTOR's setting, which is 1,000 years earlier, so their use would have to be reintroduced in any remake. I thought it was more like 3,000 years from there. But yeah, I see how that can be annoying, but I don't think it'd be too annoying to incorporate them in. The High Republic also significantly changes the Republic's jurisdiction of the Outer Rim territories in Star Wars. In KoTOR, the Republic has settlements in the Outer Rim such as Tatooine, Dantooine, and Taris, which is the first world the player finds themselves on, which had earned its wealth from its strategic position in hyperspace lanes. However, the High Republic has the Republic only just being I think this is a typo and they were trying to say beginning, so let's try that again. However, the High Republic has the Republic only just beginning to explore and colonize this area of the galaxy, with hyperspace trade routes yet to be established. This would be a problem. The High Ground Republic is saying that the Outer Rim worlds only started getting colonized 3,000 years into the future. Tatooine is all Tuscans and Jawas. Dantooine is just grass and terrace. Well, I have no idea what ancient terrace was like. Would this mean that most or all the worlds you visit would at most be mid-rim planets? Are we still gonna run around looking for star maps? The entire theory of the Rakan's hyperspace technology limiting them to Force Nexus worlds falls apart. They'd have to remove or rework the entire story surrounding the Rakatan race. But if they're removed, then the entire story is changed. Would it really qualify as a remake then? These are two massive changes to canon which potentially override much of KoTOR's lore and would definitely need to be addressed in a remake. Perhaps which planets are included could be changed, although this would be a drastic deviation from the original game. Another possible solution would be to change how much Republic influence is seen on these worlds and have them as independent worlds. One thing is certain, the High Republic has significantly complicated KoTOR's canon timeline. Yeah, you don't say. Overall, this seems to solidify my original desire to keep the remake within the Legends timeline. I don't think I need to ask my audience if they agree with me on that, because I'm fairly sure that the majority does. With this being a remake of KoTOR 1 though, I do want to hear from you what you would want to see changed. One suggestion I have is to age Mission Veo up or make her look even more childlike, just to avoid awkward situations when I'm discussing the game with someone and they bring up the quote-unquote hot Twi'lek. Yeah, let's try to mitigate those. Let me know in the comments if you have any other suggestions. Like the video if you enjoyed it, share it, and maybe subscribe. Shoutouts to all my channel members, and until next time, peace.